Good morning, everyone. We're continuing here in the words of the Rambam, his Hakdama to MISHNEH Torah. And today he has to deal with the major question that we brought up yesterday, which is, if Torah Sheba'al Peh was always supposed to be transferred and transmitted from one sage to the next, and it was an oral transmission without being written down, the Rambam does point out that everyone was allowed to write down notes for themselves, that they should be able to review it properly and give it over in the proper way, but to write it down in mass and to print it in svarim, in books and scrolls, and teach it publicly in such a way where we're learning together from the written word, that was us, so that we're not allowed to do. So why did Rabbi Yehuda HaChassid, Rabbeinu HaKadosh, why did he decide to gather all of the Mishnaic text and put them together, compile them into a sefer called MISHNEH, and publish it and publicize it and teach like that? Why did he change the rules? Why did he do this? He didn't leave things the way that it was. Everything was running nicely over here for, as we pointed out the other day, 613 years from the time the Torah was given Har Sinai. This was the Mahalach. This is how it was. So why did he change things? Lefi Shara, because he saw Shatalmidim Mizmatim V'holchim. He saw that the amount of students, the student body, was decreasing. V'hatzaros Mischatros Ubois, and there were many more tzaros, many more difficulties and challenges and suffering that were befalling the Jewish people. U'mamleches harasha pashetes ba'olam v'mizgaberes. The wicked kingdom, referring, I believe, to the Romans over here, their hand was becoming quite strong in the world. Now we're talking about 100 years or so after the Churban Beis HaMikdash, the destruction of the Second Temple. So the nature of the spiritual tenacity and strength of Klal Yisrael seemingly has diminished since the Beis HaMikdash was destroyed. The Romans and the other enemies of this world gained strength since the Beis HaMikdash was destroyed. V'Yisrael mizgalgalim b'oichim l'katzavos, and Klal Yisrael was going into gullus, into exile, into different corners of the world, and we were losing our immediate connection to Eretz Yisrael, to Kimitzio and Teitzei Torah Yerushalayim, that the Torah comes from Yerushalayim and from Eretz Yisrael. We were in other places. So therefore, Chibor Echad, he compiled one book, one work, Liyos Biyad Kulam, that would be in the hands of everyone, Kidei Sheyilmeduhu Bimheira V'lo Yishkach, that they should be able to learn and review their studies quickly without forgetting. The Yoshev Kol Yamav Hu Beis Dino, and he sat together with his Bezdin all the days of his life. V'lamad HaMishneh b'Rambam, and he taught the Mishnah, the first authoritative work of Torah Sheba'al Peh that was written down. He taught it b'Rambam to the masses. So Rabbeinu HaKadosh understood that the Mesaras HaTorah, giving it down from one generation to the other, it's not a game of telephone, which is one of the big claims that people have. Oh, how can you tell me that what the sages said is true? Telephone, you take 20 kids, you put them in a room, and one starts off the message and it goes around the circle. By the time that it gets back to the original person, it's not the same thing anymore. Or you take a bunch of adults and you put them in a room, and the one says a funny message and it goes all the way around the room. It gets more ridiculous, each and every one. This is not telephone. This is every single sage, every single tzaddik in every single generation had one mission, and one mission only, and that was preserve the Devar Hashem, the word of Hashem, the way that it was given over to Moshe Rabbeinu Har Sinai. And therefore they invested all of their koiches, all of their strength, all of their mental prowess, all of their neshama, everything they invested into the words to make sure that they were able to give it over exactly as it was given over to their teacher, who received it exactly as he got it from his teacher, so on and so forth, all the way to Har Sinai. Rabbeinu HaKadosh saw that there was a weakness in the learning of Klal Yisrael at this certain point in history. He saw that there was a weakness in their mental acuity and their understanding. And being in Galus, being in exile, is not an easy thing for the Jewish people, and therefore it was weakening our reserves of chachma, of wisdom, and being able to transfer clearly from one generation to the next. And therefore, for the sake of rescuing the Torah Sheba'al Peh, that it should not chas v'chalila get lost, and it should not be damaged, and it should not be taught over in the way that is not correct, he said we have no choice but to write it down now while it's still fresh in our minds, while we still have clarity, and we'll put it into posterity for all of the generations, that this Torah is the Torah Sheba'al Peh that we received from our Sinai. It'll be written down, it'll be codified, it'll be the authoritative, undisputed word of the Ribbono Shel Olam. And in that way, says the Rambam, Rabbeinu HaKadosh, he saved Torah Sheba'al Peh for Klal Yisrael, for all generations. Have a wonderful day.